That year, due to brutal market competition, one of the biggest names in the United States, Kelly, faced the toughest survival test in its history, with sales falling sharply. A large number of senior employees left the company, and many of the remaining employees were so desperate for their future that they began to consider their own way out. For a time, the whole company crew has worried about their future due to faced with a crisis situation. The company's president, Iverson, had the unique idea to gather the staff to listen to a very lively speech, much surprised at this critical moment of the urgent need to motivate the people to fight. The invited speaker is not the successful businessman, but the 10-year-old tabloid boy, John. The manner of the speech was also extraordinary, with President Iverson and newspaper boy John having a conversation on stage that was as plain as anyone could have imagined, but with an intriguing purpose. Iverson gets right to the point. "John, how long have you been delivering newspapers?" John said proudly, "It's been 3 years since I was 7 years old." Iverson asks, "How much does the average person make by giving away a newspaper?" John said with a smile, "It was now 10 cents per newspaper, not including the occasional tip." Iverson asks, "See how you're having fun and making money every day?" John, still smiling, and said, "I'm happy every day, it's true, but the way of making money is not really easy. When I first started, it wasn't much more than 2 cents to deliver a newspaper. And it was very hard work because there were so many people giving newspapers in that neighborhood. Many kids older than me, and some adults who did it earlier and had more experience than me." Iverson asked with interest, "How did you beat over the competitor?" John, not without smugness, said, "It wasn't me who beat over the competitor. It was they who beat themselves. Seeing that it's hard to make money by sending newspapers, they are all pessimistic that they can't make any money by doing this. No matter how hard they try, there's no prospect for them to do anything else. But I have persevered with hope, and have done this job better and better, more and more money." Iverson says, "John, you never thought about getting a luxury job?" John said firmly, "No, because my grandfather, who was a lawyer, told me the biggest secret to success is persistence, and even in those days when I was only making $3 a week, I didn't think about changing jobs, and I was always convinced that I would make as much money as I wanted. Now I've gotten my wish. In addition to delivering the newspaper myself, I've hired 8 helpers and expanded my newspaper delivery area and clients by a lot. I'm currently preparing to set up a newspaper delivery company to try being a boss." Iverson pursued the question with appreciation, "Are any of those people who delivered newspapers with you back then more profitable than you are now?" John answered proudly and decisively, "No, but quite a few of them regretted not persevering as I did, and 4 of them have now become my right-hand men." At this point, President Iverson stood up excitedly and said, "Thank you, John, for an excellent speech that you gave us today," saying that he handed him a check for $1,000. John was surprised. "You're paying me so much, I was just casually talking about my experience." President Iverson stroked John's head appreciatively and said lovingly, "My son, I believe the value of this speech of yours today is more than 10,000 times what I have been paid. No one would have thought that an elementary speech by a 10-year-old newspaper boy would be like a spark that ignited the hearts of many who were once depressed." So that the Kelly Company gradually grew into a world-famous multinational group. And the newspaper boy John himself later became the newspaper tycoon in the United States. The tabloid boy's success was by no means accidental, it was also accumulated day by day. So the persistence and accumulation I mentioned earlier are equal to hope and the hope of absolute success. The final thing to say is that the secret to success is persistence.